I suppose I don't need to mention the sinking of the Belgrano. Whenever I do, people get very cross. At the suggestion that Mrs. Thatcher might be a war criminal. But I tell you something, you've noticed the fine paid by British Aerospace? Mrs. Thatcher, look back at how that happened. Those are being very fast already. And guess how Mark Thatcher became a millionaire? Mark Thatcher's too thick to run a corner store. And he's got millions. He's a disgrace. And it was his mother who put him where he is. So you can make women into rapacious and manipulative creatures in the corporate style, but they will conduct their relationships in that way. And if we do that, we've had it. We have had it. Because the whole thing that's going on now about the housekeeping of the planet does not fit with the corporate ethos. They are literally incapable of doing that job. The major corporations that control the way we live. I'm Australian, which covers me with guilt. You know how Australia lives off the hog's back by selling iron ore and coal to China. China's been trying very hard to buy the mines because they're being sold for vast amounts of money. So far, the Australians have resisted. Meanwhile, Rio Tinto and BHP Billiton tried to form a single company which would have been more powerful than a national government. They failed, but only just. And it doesn't mean they stopped trying. So all the stuff that was going on about carbon trading and so on was just complete hypocrisy. Nobody had any intention of seeing profits fall or the prices of commodities take a nosedive. That was never going to happen. Because they can't think any other way. And they must think another way. Now what I say about women is that our history gives us a long tradition of survival. This is what we're good at. We are the ones who, when everything else goes tits up, we turn around, we make sure there's food on the table, we cordon bleu. Actually, if I see another cooking program, I think I might go mad. Most people are just trying to eat wholesome food. Just fuck off. Just tell them not to cook so much. Stop cooking now. Don't cook it, eat it. Driving me nuts. I hate it. They keep saying, you have a passion for food. No. I've got to the point where I can hardly eat anything. Dr. Fergal's health bread. At least it gives you satisfaction. Finished product. So, our daughters believe, or so we're told, but I don't think they do, that they have it all. They can now enter the corporation, they've done better at university, they're better looking, they're smarter, they're more people savvy, they have better social skills than the men, and they just think the world is my oyster. What they haven't realised is that the oyster is rotten. And if they get really identified with the corporate ethos, they won't be able to do anything about it. They'll be absolutely hemmed in by what the company's style is. You know, they'll give you a key to the executive washroom. When you get in there, it's just a toilet. But it's a status symbol. Your own toilet. Well, I don't think you share the bloody toilet. Then you don't share some of the other things they do, which become clear to us when we see how footballers are encouraged to enjoy themselves by the people who own them. But when you think about all of this, you want to think about the person with whom women probably really are equal, and I got into trouble with none other than Bill Clinton trying to explain this in the past. Who are the women? Who are the men that women are closest to? They're those men who are feminized by the industrial system. They're men who are treated as labor because they are treated as a body. There is just as women are. But this was something that my sister feminists never really got. That the man who went every day to work, on the walls, in in the mines, in the warehouses, in the brewery, were valued for their physical strength. No one was interested in whether they had a mind or not. And women complained of that. No one cares if I'm intelligent. No one cares if a labouring man is intelligent either. And the labouring man has taken such a pounding. He's lost everything. His pride was in his strength and also in his union. And also in the fact that he knew how to work, which places him in a sort of continuum with us. We love our work. We are working creatures. We're like bees. And the labouring man is like that too. I can remember a man who used to work in my garden after he retired. I went and got a front loader or something to move something around the garden, and he said, I could have barrowed that for 3 hours. He was annoyed. But I didn't let him barrow it. I didn't want to see him. He had a hip replacement and a knee replacement. I didn't want to see him behind the barrow. And he actually wrecked 2 hips and 3 knees because he wouldn't stop working, because that was who he was. He was a working man. The same thing is true of our athletes. Our athletes are feminized too. Look at the relationship between Ferguson and the Manchester United players. Look at the way he buys and sells them. It's supposed to be illegal to sell another human being. But they get sold to raise money for their clubs. Every player in the England team used to play for West Ham. And that's pretty sad, isn't it? Poor West Ham. Training these people to play the game properly and then struggling. Now being run by 2 pornographers. What a glorious record. But I'm serious. That in all the madness of the way that footballers behave like idiots, like children, and humiliate themselves, don't behave like adults. Look at the grammar of their employment situation. Look at how they are reified. They may not be reified as dolls, they are reified as animals. They are treated like racehorses. But they're not racehorses, they're people. They're sometimes very poorly served by education and so on. I think women should make common cause, in a way. Understand that the difficulty is not men themselves. You know that when you deal with your sons. The difficulty is something that happens to them when they have to negotiate entry into masculine as opposed to male society. They go beyond the animal into the cerebral, and then they're dealing all the time with power and with cruelty, with humiliation and manipulation. I sometimes watch NCIS, and I can't get over the way Gibbs keeps hitting Tony on the back of the head. He shouldn't do that. It's outrageous. I'm waiting for Tony to turn around and slug him. But you know he never will. Because Gibbs is the great bad guy. And all the girls are in love with him. He's also emotionally incompetent, because he's fairly eager to confess. What are we being shown? All this kind of stuff that we get contains in it paradigms of how systems are meant to work. And in the case of Gibbs, we've got an even sillier situation, which is the female director who's his boss. She'll be killed. Actually, she has been killed. But I'm not sure whether you're watching it on the same channel as me. I've probably spoiled it for you now. She gets shot to battery. And guess what? It's all her fault. So, you know that I have never been, I hope you know, that I have never been an equality feminist. I think to be an equality feminist is to stall the whole process. And my feeling is that we're really, really running out of time.